She's beautiful, so now I can't talk. We've been doing Disney trivia while you were gone, so seeing how much they know about Disney movies. But let's give it a hand to her one more time, everybody. You're running around crazy today, right?
Yeah, because I'm on Eastern time, so I woke up at 4:30 this morning. I've had a long day already. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going. Well, they have a lot of energy, so this is going to be really, really fun.
Yeah.
Welcome to Salt Lake.
Thank you. It's been a minute since I've been here. I mean, I've been up for the Sundance festivals a few times for different films, but I actually filmed a film in the Salt Lake area, so got to spend a good amount of time out here. A film called Edge of America.
Yes. Do you guys remember Edge of America? If you have not seen that, you need to check it out for sure.
But I'm from Alaska, and I'll tell you, just flying in, and it was the sunset moonrise last night with the mountains. I was like, oh, mountains, sky, fresh air. I love Salt Lake.
Salt Lake loves you. Oh, yep, you got it. Well, I know we're going to talk about Pocahontas in a little bit, but I'm going to set that over here because I know you're all excited. But there's a few other things that if you guys don't know that she's done, like, you need to know. So I think a lot of people know you for Smoke Signals. So can you tell us a little bit about that movie and what it meant for you at the time?
We just got inducted into the Library of Congress this year. It was our 20th anniversary last year, and it's one of those films that when I read the script, I had already read the book of stories that it was based on, and I would have walked from LA to where we filmed in Coeur d'Alene and Salt Lake, Washington to film it. And it's one of those ones that you do and you just, you can feel that it has that certain magic to it. But then, you think, then you're done, right? But it's become something that gets taught in universities, in colleges, in high schools even.
My daughter's high school watched it last year. I was so excited when she came home and she's like, this is what we watched today. And I'm like, I love your teachers so much right now. Let's talk about this movie.
Yeah, well, and so what I loved about it was, we start in the universe of the Coeur d'Alene tribe and these two young men, and they even talk about how they need their vaccinations and passports to leave the res, and they have to even get in a car going backwards, and it's that sort of epic hero's tale where, instead of meeting the Cyclops, they're meeting different people along the way, and Susie Song was, also in those epic tales, there's always, and generally it's a woman too, someone who along the way they've been beaten and bruised or they're starving or whatever, who offers them sustenance, and that's Susie Song. She held the heart of her father, his father, but then at the end, the movie is about, forgiving our parents for being human beings and not always being perfect. And so then it becomes a universal story. It's, starts in the Native universe and then becomes a story for every human. And that's what I really appreciated about it.
If you guys haven't checked it out, write that down.
Well, and the same director, Chris Eyre, was the director that directed the film that I did here, Edge of America. So it was kind of a little full circle there too.
Very, very cool. So we all just love you and Pocahontas, and last year we kind of, with Ralph Breaks the Internet, we got to have a little bit of fun with Pocahontas again. How fun was it to come back with like all the princesses? And by the way, that was my favorite part of that film. If you haven't seen Ralph Breaks the Internet, if you just go and watch it and you see the part of the princesses, I laughed so hard at that scene because Disney makes fun of themselves so much. It's like everything we've ever thought about the princesses, they say out loud, which is fantastic. But you got to actually see like all the princesses, you guys all came together.
Yeah.
How fun was that?
It was, well, and so we announced it, that all the princesses were in Ralph Breaks the Internet at D23 a couple years ago, and so we got, one by one introduced, but but you know, I introduced Anika and Rose. Each one, we came on stage one by one, and the crowd just got bigger and bigger. And at the end, I'm like, I do feel like a princess, and a little bit like a beetle too.
Exactly. D23 is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I love our FanX, and this is definitely more intimate convention for you. And I mean, we love you just as much as them. But that's a little crazy. Was it the first time that all the princesses that you had all met before, or have you guys met in the past?
We've met a lot over the years at different, events, or like for instance, in the 25th anniversary of Pocahontas, we buried a time capsule in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, the Chinese Theater Hollywood Walk of Fame in Disney World, and so, when that comes around in June next year.
Wow. That is so cool. Write that in your calendar.
I don't even remember what I put in the time capsule. I'm going to be really surprised. But so over the years, yes, we had a lot of, at the premiere of Pocahontas, it was in Central Park, and it was 110,000 people, and we had like train box cars welded together to make these huge screens outside in Central Park, and Michael Jackson's, like 3 different sound systems, it was just huge. And so that was my first time getting to meet a few of the princesses, but over the years we've gotten to get to know each other, and it's kind of like, it's the best club ever.
It is. So, I mean, you had a life before being a Disney princess. You've done so many great movies, TV shows, but I mean, obviously, we recognize you as the voice of Pocahontas, and that movie, the music from that movie, I think we all listen to it and we can put ourselves in a place, right? Does everybody hear the music and you immediately know where you are the first time you heard that song, or it takes you to a memory? How did being a part of something like that change your life?
Well, first off, there's nothing that can prepare a person for that. I mean, I did know, my very first film was a Disney movie. It was called Squantola Warrior's Tale. And then my second film, Lakota Woman, Siege of Wounded Knee, they all kind of bumped into each other and came out like 1, 2, 3. And I had been nominated for Golden Globe, and then Pocahontas, and it was like a whirlwind tour. And basically I'm kind of a shy person in general. I mean, people always get, really, you're shy? It's like, well, yeah, I've always been kind of shy. And I love my job, but not necessarily like boom, that was like maybe a little overwhelming. But now over the years, it's so much, she's on my heart. I mean, people wanted to know well, how hard was it to jump back in and do the recordings for Wreck-It Ralph, and it wasn't, because it's kind of like giving me Santa Claus your whole life. It's she's now become,
she is you and you are her.
Yeah,
it just is.
Yeah. But so, and then Judy Q was the singing voice, and she was on Sunset Boulevard and Chess at the time, and continues to do a lot of Broadway theater and television and everything. But she had her incredible, strength of her voice. I think the two of us really kind of melded together to make a really beautiful movie.
I agree. Did we want to ask some questions? I know that you guys have, we'll put a line over here. So if you want to ask a question, come right over here in line, because we have a microphone.
We have a Pocahontas. We have 2 Pocahontases.
What was your favorite line in the movie, and could you do it for us?
One of the things that I always loved about working on this was, we really talked a lot about, kind of the different aspects of what it means to be Native American, and the way I, really came to understand myself and going out into the world, that we all came from tribes. We all had songs and drums and stories and relationship to the earth and relationship to our elders and a strong understanding of what we did today affect the generations to come. And so I always loved Grandmother Willow. So my actual favorite line in the movie is from Grandmother Willow, where she says, "Always this with your heart." But I always like saying, you know, "Wingapo," too.
I've always been a big fan of yours, Irene. Finally took me a while to realize that Pocahontas was a real person.
Oh, yeah.
Not just a pretty cartoon. My question is that I'm a little curious about how you do voice-over work for animation. I mean, you know, you think about Robin Williams as just kind of a loose cannon with a landing and just kind of wanted to do his own thing, but you're kind of limited to what the animation can give you, and so you can't be quite as spontaneous and things like that. You have to fit what's it like to do voiceover work versus, say, just do your own thing?
Well, and actually is maybe a combination of both, because yes, there is a script. We work off of a script. You are the only person recording in the room, so you have like the Star Trek producers, directors back there behind the window, and you're alone behind glass saying, "Let me in!" But you know, basically it's like all about your imagination, using your imagination, and there is often just a bunch of ad-libbing and trying things out. And so that's feature animation. When you do feature animation, I did my first recording session in, was it 93? And then I did my final, once every 4 to 6 weeks, I did my final recording session right before it came out in 95. So, you know, 2.5 years. When you do episodic animation though, like my son, when he was little, he was like, "Oh, my mom did Pocahontas, my mom did Scooby-Doo."
And I think Spider-Man.
Yeah. And I love doing animation because it is like a bunch of big kids in a room, basically playing and riffing off of each other. So when you do episodic, you're trying to get an episode out every in a much shorter amount of period of time. So we all get in a room together. We do the one recording session. And we might be brought when we go back to the next episode. When we go to the back for the next episode, they might do some pickup lines like, "Oh, we decided we want to change this, or we want to say it better this way," or you know, whatever it is. They might have some note or whatever, or they can change a little bit of the storyline, and they need to change one of your lines for that. So they're both, you know, you're gonna see the Aladdin folks are here this week too. So I know that they have some stories to tell working with Robin. But the only recording session that I did with another person was the man who played my father, Russell Means. They wanted a little more, you know, intimacy to make, you know, so that was the only recording session that I did with somebody else. All of it is just in your imagination, and then, you know, they might change a storyline when you come back, and then you know, re-record that, but they might have you do, you know, 4 alternates and ad-lib and the whole thing, and you never know what they're actually going to come out with, and this is a case in point. Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet. They wanted to do something with this water theme, but they didn't know what to do. But this is my weird imagination. I'm like, maybe we should just stare into the water. And it made, I was kidding! It like made it into the movie.
Then she stares at a puddle. That's fantastic.
So Pocahontas is actually based off of a historical figure. It's far from the actual history of Pocahontas. But I was just wondering what it was like for you to play a historical character and to bring to life a Native American character, and whether you felt like that movie accurately portrayed the Native American culture and made you proud to be a Native American person.
Oh, I'm definitely proud to be Native American. So I've had the chance to play a lot of historical characters, and so I do my best to do as much research as I possibly can. So before doing the film, I of course, did as much research as I could, and yes, her story is much more harsh, and there are certain aspects of it that have its sense of historical accuracy, but I think overall the bigger picture of it, I think really was something that we were raising not only Native culture to a space where kids around the world could have some understanding of what that was like, but also as a woman, she wasn't waiting for her prince to come, she saved him. So, it's definitely something I'm proud of. It's something that, has of course been brought up as far as a question, for me. And over the years, I kind of look at all the different characters that I play that are based on, like for instance, Lakota woman Sijiwununi. I actually got to meet the woman I was playing, and her voice sounded just as exactly how I imagined. I loved all her books. I gave her books to my aunts and mom and everything. I even tried to figure out when I was at the University of the Arts how to, contact and find out if I could write a play, because we had to do a one-person show and I wanted to do it. So I was just so amazed that I found myself getting to meet her, and not only her, but actually going out there in South Dakota and film with a lot of the people who were there at the Siege of Wounded Knee in 1973. So for me, I am very, there were times in my life, especially at the beginning, where I just wanted to say, look, I'm just a girl from Alaska. Like, I can't say, no one can speak for all Native Americans. But now I work, I'm special counsel for the City of Peace for the United Nations, and I do stuff with the World Indigenous Forum and help economic development on tribes in the National Indian Women's Resource Center. And that's mostly because I had to understand or realize that, we can be invisible. Like, we have been invisible. We are here and we're not stuck with marble eyes in a museum. And because I've been given this platform, I should stand up. And I've been to pretty much every reservation in America, so maybe I do have a little more knowledge, and I'm now the elder of my family, so I guess it's time for me to, stand up and have a voice.
Hi. My name is Aida. I'm South American Indigenous. My name actually means lucky person, and I'm from Brazil. And her question is actually connected to mine because watching Pocahontas, I had no recollection that she was an actual person, but gave us down there a reason to dream and to believe that Indigenous people is, I don't know, important and could be seen and could be a Disney princess. But first of all, thank you so much for being part of that. And my question was, what was the hardest thing to record Pocahontas? Was there like a challenge or any difficult line or something?
Well, so after when I filmed Squanto, A Warrior's Tale, which Squanto was there at the first Thanksgiving, that's why he was in the history books. But he, again, had a really difficult, harsh life, but I played a real person. I played his wife, and learned all of my lines. We did it both in English and in the Mi'kmaq language, there I'm like, he gets kidnapped and taken to England, and she sees him being kidnapped, and she jumps in a kayak. So I spent an entire week screaming at the top of my lungs, Squanto! Trying to save him, like paddling as hard as I could in the ocean, near Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia. going after a big, giant, tall ship. So in comparison to actually having to, like right now, I'm, also on Westworld, where it's like we're the whipping winds and the fire and, and everything, compared to, doing live action, being on actual set, animation is like, whew, thank you. But I would say, the Pocahontas was only probably 11 or 12 when she met John Smith, and she was probably not even that much older than that if what really John Smith said happened, that she threw herself upon him and stopped a war from happening. So it's that scene, it was that scene, the one where, she has to, it's not about deciding between her people and these people, it's about peace and building bridges. And that's what the story is about, even though that's not really accurate to the reality of what she had to go through, but I know, you were just kids watching it, yeah. So I think it stayed true to the heart of it, but just not the history of it.
And I appreciate, honestly, because growing up in Brazil, I would never know about the history, and that took me to the first step into researching, because it was like, so it's not just Brazilians that have that kind of lady? Cool, I'm gonna look into it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anthony Daniel Larson. I'm a huge fan of your Pocahontas movie. I always cry on that movie. There's such great messages about the Mother Earth, animals and stuff. Question, is it okay if I sing a really short song? Just a short one. It's a lead song. If I never knew you, if I never felt this love, I would have my whole life through how precious life can be. And sing.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Related to Pocahontas, which my grandmother really loved while she was alive, and I thank you for that as well. How was your experience with Mel Gibson? Was it a pretty interesting friendship you guys had at the time you were recording? I'm pretty curious.
I've actually never met him.
Oh, you never did?
No, like I said, we did all of our recording sessions alone, and then when the film came out, he was directing and producing in Braveheart. So I've never met him. We did an entire movie together, and I've never met him.
You still want me on Monday?
So, quick question. I lived back east for a while. Have you ever gotten to sightsee Virginia and other places where Pocahontas was?
We did the making of Pocahontas there. So I got to go out there to Jamestown, and then I also did the Terrence Malick's film, The New World, once again a full circle thing for me. I played Pocahontas' mother.
Great movie.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, thank you.
Coffee.
Yes.
Other than Pocahontas, who is your favorite Disney character?
That is a good question. Right now I'm straight up into Penelope, right? Hi.
How old were you when you started to do the talking voice of Pocahontas?
24. Yeah. Old enough to drive.
So, speaking of Westworld, can you share anything with us?
Oh.
Because we know it's not till 2020, but so excited about Westworld coming back.
Well, and so of course we have to sign these NDAs,
right?
As we all know. But it's even more than that, because my friends would be like, "No, you can tell us something, right?" I'm like, "I can't even tell you what we just shot. we
were part
ran
of the
through
script.
the and yes, and we only did get, you only got your parts of the script. So, and then, I also had to speak Lakota. I didn't even know, just from seeing the bits and pieces of my script, whether I was a human or a robot. I mean, so I'm saying, you can ask me all you want. Am I going to be able to answer anything? No.
But it's a pretty incredible show because really there are no rules. Like when you were first, told about Westworld, what made you want to jump? I mean, I think anybody would jump into that world because as an actor, it's just incredible how they've created it. So when you first read Westworld, what made you want to get into that world?
Well, things for me kind of happen in threes, and I kind of bundle Westworld into that three. So I also was on Stephen King's The Mist.
The Mist. Who has seen The Mist really quick? Best ending to a movie ever.
But so when my friends were like, Irene, how are you doing this? You can't even watch horror. how are you doing this? Well, again, it's all about your imagination and and things as far as filming goes. A lot of it feels slow mo. It's not a it's different when you're actually watching it. So I had that, and then I have a film that hasn't come out yet called The Harbinger, which is also a horror film, and then I put Westworld in there as well. And the reason why I do is because it is horrifying to me that, as far as why is violence, sexual violence, why is that our entertainment? And what is consciousness? And why can't we, why is it so easy to hurt each other? And especially women, so that in my own way is its own horror, The next thing, so I was like, well, okay, there's my three things and that. Then my son is, he's just got his learner's permit for driving. So I only have a few more years before, what do I want to be when my son grows up, kind of a thing. Like, what's my next? So I decided to make a vision statement for myself. And I totally plagiarized this great Native American psychiatrist who has a book called Healing the Mind Through the Power of Storytelling. And so I decided my mission and vision statement was healing through the power and art of storytelling, whatever that means, like whether it's literally storytelling or doing theater or, what are ways that, we can kind of, again, build bridges to each other, find peaceful ways to coexist, take care of our earth, all those things. So that came out with a film that was inspired, doesn't sound right, wanted to shine a light on the murdered and missing Indigenous women called The Bygone, and then another film I just recently did called Heartland about Standing Rock, and I'm about to do another film that's about Afghan war vet who's suffering from PTSD and the wild horses and how those two intertwining stories can help to heal both, both the land and the animals and this man and the war. So yeah, I can't remember what the question it was.
Why you decided to pick Westworld, but I think that you answered it.
Okay.
So, very good, very good.
Hi. I'm excited because we just found out in our genealogy that we're actually related to Powhatan and Pocahontas, even though I'm super white, so it's not obvious. But I was wondering about your growing up and the languages and how I just love the older and indigenous languages from everywhere and how you have, if you've learned any or what languages you do speak and how those affected you growing up.
So all these, our languages, we have 300 367 federally recognized tribes. 237 of them are in Alaska, and that's where I'm from. What also happened during the assimilation program of the Bureau of Indian Affairs was they forcibly removed children and put them into boarding schools. That was part of the assimilation program, and wouldn't allow them to speak their languages. So my mom, that happened to my mom. She was plucked from the village of Koyuk. It was the first time she'd ever seen a plane, or maybe a helicopter, I can't remember. But, so she wasn't allowed to speak her languages. I thought, and I didn't learn this until she passed away, I thought that she was ashamed to speak her language, the Inupiaq language. But what I found out from my sister was that she just didn't think that she could speak it well enough. So I always heard it around me, but that's the one language I want to go back and learn, because it's not just a translation of words. My name Kudairuk, it means one who dropped, like, or fell from the stars, or Umchek, that's like when your mom or your aunt or your grandpa always does that thing that they do that makes you go, no, stop. Like my grandfather would, you know, every time he saw me, he'd go, "Banagachi, mommy," at the top of his lungs. So I get all embarrassed, and then but I knew it was like he just wanted to hold me and hug me, give me cheeks. But I have to tell you the whole story just to give you the meaning of the word Umchek. And what I've had to do is I've spoken several different languages in different films and television things. But I don't speak those languages, so it's kind of like learning a song. And, I've spoken Lakota, Oglala, I've spoken Dene, Navajo. We had to revive the Pimaki, Powhatan Algonquin language for New World. Shawnee, I've spoken all these different languages, but I actually don't speak any of them.
Have a backup comment.
Sure.
If anyone is interested, this is for everyone. If you end up ever going to Victoria, Canada, in the near-ish future, they have a really amazing exhibit in the Royal Museum there about the native languages of the Native Americans in Canada. And it talks a lot about the original languages and how they were dying and how they're reviving them. So that's why I was interested to ask.
There are 400 million indigenous people worldwide, and the languages are dying at an exponential rate. So a lot of, especially up in Canada, the provinces, they have language revival. I know Senator Winnie Boy just got a language initiative there. They're doing immersion up in Alaska with some of my tribes, starting with preschool. So yeah, they're trying to keep these languages alive.
You can clap. Do it. You're so good. It's like a good classroom in here.
I know. But, it's funny because it is, when I have gone up here with Paige and Linda and everything, and it's just like, oh, I'm up here with these, cute Disney princess ladies, and it always seems to, when I'm by myself, I start having, questions about, my traditions and everything. So I'm always like, I'm sorry I'm not being too Disney princess for you.
Are you guys okay with this? Everybody's having a good time? I don't think they care. I think they're excited. We'll get back to Disney princesses in a minute.
Hi. So, as an actress, how did you get your start? And then, do you have any advice for any upcoming actresses or anything like that?
I started writing plays when I was 10, 8, 9, 10, because I was the oldest child and the oldest grandchild, and it was the quickest, easiest way to get all the kids where I knew where they were going to be. Your entrance is now. And then I was doing theater, like community theater. I was in the Anchorage Civic Opera, so we were doing opera. I was doing operas and musicals and theater, and also in high school, the same thing. But I went to school for physics and philosophy, and because it wasn't like, in my wheelhouse of thought that that's something you could even do for for a living. And then I went to the University of the Arts and got my Bachelor of Fine Arts in Theater Arts. And that was my big thing, was I was going to go to New York City and do theater. Went to the American Indian Community House. We started a Native American theater ensemble, did our own, wrote our own plays, and we were performing all over. And my agent came to see it, and then all of a sudden I was working on a film. So, for me, it's been years ago when I had to even think about how would you start out in this. So that's why I tell my story, because I do know that all those things that I did leading up to doing this laid a tremendous groundwork, and I just went back to doing some theater again. I love it. It's a workout every night, but I think that's a really good place to start. It's even to the point now too. It's about finding an agent. So that's kind of like you have to go to LA or to New York, and then do some showcases and find an agent. But it's to the point now where I can live anywhere, and if I have an audition or something, I can just get myself a light in my iPhone and set up and do my audition. And so it's become much easier than it was then. But still getting that foot in the door. I do know that I think it's Samuel French puts out a yearly list of agents, and I don't know whether are you living here. There are probably some local agents, but yeah, that's about what I have. Oh, you do? Oh, wow! You got a great. You're going there. Yeah. I mean, I just have fun, because really, if you don't have fun, then it's too hard. It's a lot of hard, long days. Work's also hard. You have to be really strong in yourself, and I've even had to say this with my son and him playing baseball. Your performance is not your self-worth. You have to have your own self-worth in there.
Hi, did you ever sing any of your Pocahontas songs to your kids as lullabies or something?
No, I sing. My son's name is Quinn, so I sing The Mighty Quinn, or You Are My Sunshine. But we also, his father and I we did have a band together, and so when he was little, he got to go on tour with us sometimes. So a lot of the songs that we wrote were for him. So he had, a few albums that were songs that were all written for him. Look at her. Oh. Hi. How are you? Did you have a question?
Yeah.
What is it?
Did go bye-bye?
Oh. You have to go bye-bye?
Yeah.
Oh, man. How old are you? How old? Are you 3? 2?
2.
Oh my goodness. You are a good young lady. Yeah.
Thank you.
Koyana, thank you.
She loves you. She has a doll of you, so. But I was going to ask, growing up in Alaska, what are some of your favorite foods you had there and some of the fun experiences?
Well, you know, not so much, you know, bears, but blueberry picking when there aren't bears there. I love going blueberry picking, love salmon. You know, I come from a salmon and berry people for sure. My family, you know, we come from a village that if we did not have subsistence hunting and fishing, we wouldn't survive. So I grew up eating muktuk, which is whale blubber, and seal oil, and moose, and caribou, and, you know, we also ate regular food too, but those are my favorite foods.
Way more exciting than just mac and cheese.
Well, every time I go back, my mom's twin sister has a friend that always wants to throw me a traditional meal, and they're Yupik, I'm a Yupik, so the very first time I had walrus soup, but I guess Yupik, or the Yupik people keep the hair on the walrus, so that was one thing I was like, I felt like Ack the cat. Yeah.
You're adorable.
Yes. Yes. Love you too. Bye-bye. Anna.
I was just wondering about Rap Breaks the Internet and how that was to film, to record with all the other princesses, and would you be excited if they had a all-princess movie?
Oh yeah, I totally would. Let's, you know, bring it on, bring it on. I'm there.
Shenanigans in that movie.
It'd be a lot of shenanigans. Yeah, and we actually also only did a recording session, again, alone, only me in the room. But I did one recording session near where I live, and then they flew me out to Buena Vista for another first recording session, and that was kind of a fun throwback because I had done a lot of the recording sessions, and that's fun too because you go through the gates and it's Buena Vista and big giant Mickey Mouse ears, and then you know they let you out and they're like, okay, you know, take a right at Mickey Mouse Lane and a turn left at Goofy, and you're in the the Donald Duck, studio or whatever. So yeah, that was fun. But what was fun was getting to go to the premiere and to D23 with all the ladies.
I've met Paige O'Hara. Do you like her?
I love Paige O'Hara. She is the best, isn't she? She is the best. She's a pixie too. And she's an amazing painter. Have you ever seen any of her paintings? She does, she paints, she's one of the Disney artists. So she paints big giant versions of all kinds of things from Disney. Yeah, she's awesome.
So you've had a lot of projects, you've done a lot of things, a lot of really cool things. Is there one project or one thing that you really want to do? Whether acting, producing, directing, band, you want to get the band back together. What is like just one thing that you have on your goal list that's like ahead of you that you really just want to grab a hold of?
Well, I have been producing, and I love producing because it's kind of, I get to be the holder of the world that's being created, and also just pulling together amazing people that I've worked with and known before, or that I now get to meet, and so the producing part. Directing, I thought I wouldn't like, but I think the reason that I'm maybe, the talent for it is because I don't like to be in charge, but so therefore, like, people want to come, it's like, so what can I do for you next? What can I do for you next? So those are two things, but I think directing is something, because it does scare me, that maybe I, want to make that next step at some point. I've directed, live before a studio audience, talk show, documentary, but something a little larger, maybe a little more about what what I'm about, or what I would like to present as a story. I just don't know what that is yet.
You'll find it. I think that's going to be amazing. I definitely think you should direct for sure. You have a great way of telling a story, and so we would, to have that voice so many doors for not just actors, but people to see that not everybody is the same, and that's okay. And that you can be strong and quiet at the same time, which is also okay. But opening doors for women is, you know, you've definitely done a lot for women in the entertainment business, but also the storytelling business, because storytelling isn't always movies and entertainment, but to have a voice. So thank you so much for giving so many people a voice. Give her a round of applause, everybody. Before we take our audience selfie, we're taking an audience selfie.
Yay! Oh, that's awesome. No, speaking of storytelling, I was just asked if I could do some storytelling for the kids in the kids zone.
Oh, you're gonna go
tomorrow at 4:30, I think.
Tomorrow, 4:30, KidCon. She's gonna be reading a story at KidCon to the kids. Okay, so a tradition that I like to do, and I hope you're okay with this. I know I'm putting you on the spot. So everybody get closer together.